So this is the masthead of William Lloyd Garrison's original abolitionist newspaper, but it's colorized because it's the Liberator dot today. The book of Daniel, theologian Walter Brueggemann claims, is filled with extravagant hope against the tight system of royal reality. What if the people of God today were like how Brueggemann described Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, model practitioners of hope? What if the 2016 presidential election in the U.S. had been filled with extravagant hope against the tight two-party system of royal reality? It may still have felt like we were in a fiery furnace, but hope may also have opened up something for American democracy or for the reform of the white evangelical church. According to Brueggemann, the hope practiced by Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, quote, signified a dramatic end of Nebuchadnezzar's royal claims and his capacity to intimidate. My name is Lowell Bliss. Welcome to episode 15 of the Liberator Today's video series on hope. This is part 3 from Brueggemann's essay, Living Toward a Vision, and the second occasion where he's answering the question, what is the function of hope? We are also testing if his answer has any practical applicability for upcoming elections, whether as a viewer you are an American voter or not. So what is the function of hope, Brueggemann asks? It is to provide standing ground outside the system from which the system can be evaluated, critiqued, and perhaps changed. Hopeless people eventually must conform, but hope-filled people are not as dependent and not as fully contained and administered. The system makes absolutist claims. The two-party system claims you must vote for either Trump or Hillary. Any other option is a waste, a cop-out, a fantasy, a conspiracy, even a sin. Hopeless people eventually must conform, but hopeful people, according to the definition we are using in this series, have a bold conviction about an alternative possibility for the future in and through a good, free, and sovereign God. We might not have that alternative possibility revealed to us before the polling stations close, but then, nonetheless, as Brueggemann exhorts us, quote, we must take care not to surrender our imaginative power to any pretension of absoluteness. Because God is free of the two-party system, so are we. The story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is one of the 3 examples Brueggemann gives from the Old Testament. Let Nebuchadnezzar refer, as Brueggemann says, to any oppressive power. He is the paradigm of all totalitarian evil. He sets up a golden image of himself, and in demanding that the 3 Jewish men bow down to it, he, quote, wants them to acknowledge the absolute claims of the imperial system, to concede the absolute authority of the system over their lives. Nebuchadnezzar as a system allows for only 2 possibilities for the future. You will either be bowed down or you will be dead. But Brueggemann says these 3 Jews are model practitioners of hope. They are so grounded in the liberation tradition of hope that they will not finally submit. They believe there is a future yet to be given that is not under the control of the king. The fact that their lives are grounded in the hope of a future given by God makes it possible for them to defy the system of Nebuchadnezzar. It strikes me that we modern readers are in danger of missing a crucial point that Brueggemann wants to make about this story. And to understand this, we need to hearken back to the beginning of Brueggemann's essay, to 2 episodes back in our video series. Brueggemann claimed that the Old Testament is a literature of hope for a people of hope, but that since the, quote, dominant intellectual tradition of the West, from the Greeks and the Romans, is a tradition not of hope but of order, we tend to miss where hope is operating. For example, I've always interpreted the story of the fiery furnace so that the emphasis is placed on obedience. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were bravely obedient to commandments number 1 and number 2 of the 10 Commandments. Kind of a defiant stance. No, Nebuchadnezzar, we will not disobey God. But what I failed to see is that it was hope which gave the 3 men the capacity to obey when so many of their countrymen did bow down to the image. What's the point? The hopeless said. Nebuchadnezzar is supreme. We'll bow to the image and hope Yahweh understands that we had no choice. The answer that the 3 men give to Nebuchadnezzar can't be understood solely in terms of obedience. Otherwise, they would have gone straight to their second statement, O king, we will not serve your gods. Instead, they begin by declaring that since God is free from Nebuchadnezzar, so are they. There are alternative possibilities given by God that are different than the 2 possibilities given by Nebuchadnezzar, bow down or be dead. They say, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image which you have set up. Brueggemann writes, quote, their hope is a wonderful act of defiance. Perhaps we will be delivered, perhaps not. Either way, we will not submit. Hope makes it possible not to submit. No wonder the response of the men fills the king with fury. See verse 19. Because it signifies a dramatic end of his royal claims and his capacity to intimidate. In my opinion, American democracy desperately needs a dramatic end to the absolutist claims of the 2-party system, with all its extrapolations of gerrymandering, voter suppression, filibustering, refusal to bring things to debate or to a vote. If anything, white evangelical Christians are unduly chained to the Republican Party by the 2-party system mentality. What do you propose in its stead, Lowell? But you see, that's the urge of order, demanding an answer. There is no way that our 3 model practitioners of hope could have pulled off the alternative possibility, wherein they are thrown into the furnace by Nebuchadnezzar's power, but end up walking around in it, joined by an angel, left without a hair scorched or their clothes smelling of smoke. They say no to bowing down and no to dying. They themselves couldn't have pulled off such a thing, but they could imagine something like it. They could hope. What if we started offering up to God not only our obedience, but also our imaginations? I'm Lowell Bliss, environmental missionary and climate activist. Thank you for visiting the Liberator today.